Ford v. Ferrari. This is a 2019 film starring Christian Bale and Matt Damon about the story of Ford's entry into the race world that started because of Ferrari's ridicule of them.
This movie has some great actors in it. It's a really compelling story, and the racing scenes have a lot of action. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I have to agree. The racing, as a car guy myself, the racing scenes were done very well. Let's get right into what worked in this film. So what worked in Ford v. Ferrari? For me, I'm a huge Christian Bale fan. So any movie with Christian Bale, I'm going to sit down and watch. He's just the best. I love every movie he's in, and it's no different here. He does a great job portraying Ken Miles, race car driver. It's kind of that underdog story where he's got his business that fails. They're running out of money. He wants to keep driving, but he can't, and he gets this opportunity, and you follow the story of him becoming basically the lead designer of the Ford GT40 race car and perfecting all of its imperfections as best as he could in a short timeline. So love that about this film. It's very fun. The racing, the humor, the Carroll Shelby back and forth with Ken Miles is very enjoyable to watch. They're a great duo, Matt Damon and Christian Bale. And from what I've read, they did have a great relationship in real life. So it's cool to see it being portrayed to us, the viewer, who were not around during this time. It's very interesting to see old events like this, any kind of movie that's based in the past, see what was going on at that time. And I love cars. I'm a big car guy, so anything that has to do with cars is usually going to work for me, and definitely works here. When you see that GT40 off the airplane from England, what a awesome car. The silhouette of that car is beautiful still today. It was way ahead of its time. Now, it couldn't barely turn, couldn't barely brake, but you know what? It was a awesome looking car, and it was fast as hell, and that is what we like when we were watching a racing movie. Another thing I'd like to note that worked for me is seeing the Ford execs go over to Italy, and you see the Ferraris being made handmade in the factory. That was really cool. There's something about a handmade low population car. It's interesting. It's beautiful. Like the design, all the red, Ferrari red. It just looks great. Another thing that works for me this film, I like the dynamic of Ford kind of saying, screw it, we're all in, and then just going for it. I love the story of, they didn't have a race car. They're just like, here we go. We're doing it.
I don't care what it costs. We're going to build a race car.
Just seeing Ken, create the car to his standards essentially, and he was good. He knew what he was talking about. He knew his cars, and he knew how to get all the performance out of them. That's what worked for me. This film it's just a great story, great characters, great cast, great subject. Ford is an American car company that everybody knows their name, and this is part of the reason everybody knows their name and they're fondly remembered. So yeah, that's what worked for me in this film. It's just overall pretty great.
Yeah, I really liked the relationship between Ken and Carroll. Ken, they said a few times in the movie, he can't deal with people very well. He's not good with people. He even said it himself. And then, contrast that with Carroll, who is great with people, and, they get along so well. That was awesome. That was one of the things that worked for me. All the characters, even the ones that you're supposed to hate, you like them. You like the interactions they have. Like some of the executives at Ford, all they care about is the bottom line, but it created some really tense interactions between them. Yeah, dude, like Leo Beebe.
Leo Beebe. When you see a great scene about that subject is when Carroll Shelby goes into Ford's office and he's like, you see that envelope? It just traded 9 hands before it got to you. What's the point of all this? And the executives, man, they played their part.
Yeah, and Ken even foreshadowed, that would happen. He said,
he knew.
Ford, they're not going to let you do what you want to do. That was one of the things that worked for me. The story is compelling. It's great. I'm a car guy too. I like seeing all the cars. For the most part, what worked for me was the character interactions as well as the race scenes. That's cool. I thought there'd be a lot more. I don't think it's bad that there wasn't more because there was enough.
Yeah.
When you read Ford v Ferrari, you initially think, okay, this is obviously a racing movie. It's going to be
a nonstop race fiasco, right? That's what it seems like. Yeah.
But
that's what my fiance thought about this movie when I turned it on and told her that we were going to be watching this one. She's like, "Oh, it's going to be all racing." I was like, "No, it's not. It's actually not. It's just a great story with racing involved."
Yeah. So that was something that that stood out for me on top of the great characters in the racing scene was behind the scenes, the interactions and kind of the conflict you have between a C-suite and an engineer. It was that worked. It was cool.
And that is still happening to this day.
Oh, certainly, with a lot of industries.
Absolutely. All right, so what didn't work in Ford v Ferrari? There's not a lot here. It's a very good film, but I will say, knowing what I know now, I did some research on what actually transpired in relation to these events the movie is based on. A lot of the stuff is exaggerated for film, for the story, which is fine, but, I do like having a little bit of, truth in there, and it seems like a lot of the stuff was kind of pushed to the limit of exaggeration. That's about the only thing that doesn't work for me, and it's not that bad, but, they almost made Leo Beebe, the executive, like this dangerous villain when he wasn't like their best friend or anything for sure, but it wasn't as bad as the film made it out to be for sure. But that's pretty much the only thing that doesn't work for me, and maybe the fact that I would have liked to see more of Ken Miles doing some more testing on the cars. More racing of the GT40. That's what we got, and that's what we have to deal with. So that's all that didn't work for me.
I would say that Leo Beebe was definitely a villain. He's a prime example of. He even said, "I may not know much about racing, and it's just all he cares about is the bottom line," and that almost derailed the whole thing. They would have used the wrong driver, they would have lost, and who knows, Mr. Ford probably would have pulled out. So he could have been a villain. So
yeah. It's a good point.
So I didn't really have any one thing that popped out as something that wouldn't work for me. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Sometimes movies don't have anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. So let's move on to standout moments. My standout moment in this film is at the Le Mans race when Leo Beebe tells Carroll Shelby, "Hey, you got to tell Ken to slow down," after he has broken every lap record and has completely dominated the race. They tell him to slow down for their photo finish of all three Fords. For a photo op, right? Which, it may have been exaggerated, but man, that would piss anyone off. If you are at the top of your game, you're super competitive, you've waited your whole life for this moment, and then they're like, "All right, you're too good, slow down."
And you know what? Their enemy, Ford's enemy in this movie, Ferrari, they wouldn't have done anything like that.
No. No, absolutely not.
I could see old man Ferrari standing up there and say, "No, just have him win. If he's in the lead, just tell him to go."
Wins. Right, yeah. Exactly.
It was so weird. Yeah.
So my standout moment is this for this very reason, is when he hears the slow down, he's like, no. And then he proceeds to have the perfect lap. Absolutely couldn't have gone faster. Broke his previous broken record on the lap. And even his son, listening to the radio or watching the TV, says the perfect lap.
Oh yeah,
because that was the perfect lap. It was so awesome. Love that scene. That one really stood out to me. It made me it gave me goosebumps, man, seeing him get that perfect lap. Yeah. Love it, dude. Yeah. There's a lot of good moments in this. I could have easily picked something else, but that's the one that stood out to me the most. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, there were a lot of great moments, and that was a huge one too. For me, and I actually got goosebumps. I'm not just saying this for dramatic effect. I hadn't seen this movie in a while, so I was really focused on it. It was the scene when the Ford executives had just came back from talking to old man Ferrari, and they were explaining themselves to old man Ford, and he asked, what did he say? And they tell him, and then he said, "No, what did he say about me?"
What did they say about me?
It was the line, "You are not Henry Ford. You are Henry Ford II." And I'm not even kidding. I got goosebumps, and I was like, "Oh man!" And you could just see on his face, and that was the moment right there that he said, "We're going all the way. Doesn't matter how much we spend. We're Ford. We're an American company. We helped win the war. This is it. We're in." And that made the whole movie for me.
Yep. They said, "You're making ugly little cars in a big ugly factory."
Yeah, Ford wasn't a racing company.
Yeah, I mean, Ford at that point had gotten comfortable in just making assembly line cars. They had no standout vehicle. The Mustang was the standout vehicle, but as Ken Miles alluded to at the scene where they show off the new Mustang, he's like, nothing special.
He would rather drive a Chevelle, and that's a terrible car.
That's a terrible car.
I'll still choose a Chevy Chevelle. That's a terrible car.
Little fun fact about that scene of Ferrari saying all of these mean things about Ford, it actually happened. And that is exactly what spawned the race team. That actually happened. I actually like that about the movie. That's
great. That's great because I love that scene. So to know it actually happened.
Another standout moment, just a little one for me before. I just really loved watching Ken Miles drive the GT40. I wish we would have got more.
It's such a cool
loved
car.
The testing
I've always
phase.
loved that car.
It's just such a cool car. Yeah.
And I do like how it wasn't perfect out the gate. That was, and maybe that was
Yes.
true. So, it
Yes.
needed to be in there, but it felt real, right?
Oh, it wasn't
He's
perfect
struggling.
out the
They
gate.
were
That's
struggling to
real.
get it. Yeah. They were struggling to get it, up to speed. Pun
Yeah,
intended.
it
so.
needed a lot of work. It had a ton of power, but it needed a lot of work. And
Right,
and
right.
they,
That was
they
really
got
cool.
it done in a short amount of time. It was cool. I love this movie. It's a very good movie.
Very good movie.
All right, so final scores. I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 4 because I love the movie, and whenever it's on, I would happily watch it. And whenever I'm in the mood for a racing type movie, it's one I would go to high on the list. So for me, it gets a 4. 5 territory, no, not perfect, but pretty close. 4.
I don't quite see what didn't work. I guess I enjoyed the exaggeration a little bit, some artistic
Yeah, I
flair
mean,
in there.
it's good.
So I'm just going to give it a 4 also. It doesn't quite touch the 5 for an absolute, legendary.
It's
It
no
doesn't-
masterpiece, but it's really, really good.
It's really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great automobile movie for sure.
Yes. Great American history automobile movie for sure. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it for Ford v Ferrari. Have you seen this movie? Do you like this movie? Let us know down in the comments if you're into racing, if you're into racing movies, if you just like good stories. Suggest us a movie if you don't mind, and we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you all for watching.